righty. Thank you all for being here. Ooh, I can't hear myself with an echo. Someday we're going to fix that. Someday we're going to fix that. My name is Anthony Barocas, and I am the Chief Gearhead here with Titles Over Titles. Here at StreamTek. That's the magic of a live show. Thank you all for being here, who are here every single week. And in special news with regards to that, next week I will be on my way to at the end of next Wednesday. I will be on my way to Germany, and I will be there for several weeks. So I will actually be in Europe during IBC, which is the topic of today's show, the IBC thing. So IBC is the International Broadcasters Convention in Amsterdam. It is it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 4 or 5 days, and it is also like NAB, the National Association of Broadcasters Convention in Las Vegas, Nevada, United States. It is one of the big conventions that broadcasters and gear companies and everybody flock to and get their products out in front of people. And if you haven't seen my NAB coverage on the StreamTek channel, be sure to check that out so you can get an idea of what the expo floor is like. I'm over here trying to scroll to it while I'm talking to you. So if you were to, you could see videos from vMix, Rode, Hollyland, Sprolink, Switchblade, Osee, Top Director, Nearstream, Kilo View, Ada, Mind Media, YC Onion. So what I did was I went to each of these booths at the show and I talked to them and interviewed them, and you can see it keeps going down here. RGB Link, Mevo, Small Rig, Bird Dog, Colbor, what's this one? Saramonic is right here. And there's a lot of content from the show, from the NAB show here on the YouTube channel. So if you haven't already seen that, go check that out. It's at Stream Technology. Wait, it's at YouTube. It's at Stream Technology with a K on YouTube. So go check that out. Now, obviously from NAB in the spring to IBC in the fall, there's a lot of things that have changed. And the big thing I want to talk about today is what industry news have you heard coming up? Oh, I got to take that one off. I forget that doesn't come off automatically. What industry news have you heard? One of the big things I heard recently was that Rode just announced that the Rodecaster video now does NDI. Let's do it here. This little guy now does NDI. With a software update, they give you 4 channels of NDI, and that is amazing. It's legit amazing, because this becomes the second budget. Panasonic has one called the Kairos, and it's tens of thousands of dollars. But this is a budget hardware mixer with physical buttons. You don't have to get a control surface. It is the control surface. And you can switch between inputs, and you can switch between scenes. I would hold one up, but I can't reach anyone at Rode to send me one to do a video on it. So if you have contacts at Rode, tell them to reach out to me. They added NDI, so you can now have 4 inputs of NDI directly into here, and that's really cool. I believe it is just like in my review of the Osee GoStream 8, the Duet 8, which is right there, 8 2.0. You can see 16 different things. You can only switch between 8 at a time. So it's kind of similar to the Rode because it has 4 NDI inputs. Actually, it has 4 streaming inputs. So you can also bring in RT, MP, one of the R versions, SRT, listener, and caller. And so the Osee is definitely more flexible than the Rode. But it is still great to see Rode jump on the NDI hardware switcher, bandwagon here. The drawback with these two solutions, though, is that, let me go back to the road. The drawback with these two solutions, though, is you can have an NDI input. But unlike, let's just say, if you had YOLO box, or you had a Magewell director, or you had an OBSBot talent. If you have a software-based solution like this, one of the things you can do is you can save position presets on an NDI-based camera and tell the camera to move between those presets. You can't do that with the Rode. And you can't do that with the Osee Duet 8 either. So it's great to see hardware switchers bring in NDI, but you still need like another control surface to be able to like access those presets, or another tablet to be able to tell the camera, a PTZ camera, go to preset 1, go to preset 2, move left, move right, zoom in, zoom out, and do, you know, all that other stuff. So yes, love me some NDI. As I said many years ago, wait a minute, let me just, love bringing this out. This is, when is this? 2020. And let me go back to the here, 2020, and I am all in on NDI. That's my article for Streaming Media Magazine, which if you don't get, you can sign up for a free e-newsletter and you can get it via email, or you can even get an actual print copy. It's actually a physical print magazine. And like in this magazine, I have a little tab here where I have an article, all-in-one production live streaming devices. That's my article. So you can subscribe to a physical magazine. Like it's a real thing. These are still made. And you can subscribe to that at streamingmedia.com. It's not too hard to remember. And we have a call coming into the office. So I am all in on NDI, which you can see some bird dog gear here. There's a TriCaster. There's a Panasonic camera, the first camcorder with NDI built in and an Ethernet plug right on the back. So you just dink, plug it right in and go. Now, you couldn't PoE it, but you know, that's that. So I would love to hear from you. You know, as always, we're going to talk about the upcoming expo next week. It's next week. But if you have streaming questions, throw them into the comments. I'll do my best to address what we have time. What industry news have you heard? Because I'm not the only person out there. You may have heard something I haven't heard about, so throw it into the comments. And if not, what would you like to hear? What would you like somebody to announce at IBC? Me personally, I would love to I would love to hear Blackmagic say, just like Rode, I would love to hear Blackmagic say, yes, we're going to do NDI. That would be great, because I have a nice Blackmagic 8-input switcher right here. Now, Blackmagic generally offers the new capabilities in new models, and they've already moved past my extreme HDMI to new models, new extremes. So it's very unlikely that they're going to announce that NDI is going to be possible in their older hardware. You never know. Eric writes in and says, like your show, it's nice to meet people and talk one-to-one. Yes, going to a convention is always a great time to be able to meet people face-to-face. And when you're looking at gear, I'm just clicking ahead to, where did it go? Here it is. It's always a great time to, if you're interested in something. See, Blackmagic also has a very... Blackmagic understands the magic of conventions. And the magic of conventions is that you can go to the show floor, you can meet with people, you can shake hands. So the third thing is you can play with gear. Get your hands on it, check it out, take a look at it. So Blackmagic doesn't wait till the show begins to announce something. They announce it days ahead of time. They have their own little, you know, hour-long stream where they talk about all the new cool things that Blackmagic is going to do. And they introduced all the new products days ahead of time, which allows you, the end user or the reviewer or the news, or, you know, to say, hey, I'm going to put that on my checklist. I want to check that out. And it makes their booth a destination. And if you've ever seen the Blackmagic booth, it's a really nice booth. It's a big, well laid out booth. And you can go there, you can plan ahead and say, oh, they just came out with this, they just announced this new video mixer 2 days ago. I have to get there, I have to go check it out and get my hands on it and everything. It's very different if you announce something at an expo, someone else doesn't hear about it, and then when they leave, they're like, oh man, I wish I knew, I would have gone over there to check that out. So Blackmagic is very, very, very smart with that. Also, Bird Dog, which I have a working relationship with, they are obviously going to be at Amsterdam at IBC. That's the IBC logo. And during the shows that I am working with Blackmagic, Bird Dog, they have said they've got some big things coming up for the IBC show. So it is a great opportunity to announce things, get hands-on, and meet and talk with people. Like if you use a product from YOLO, YOLO is going to be at IBC. And you can walk up and you can talk to Frank and say, hey, Frank, this is really cool. I would love to see, and you can like talk one-on-one with Frank, and Frank will love to do a selfie with you and post it on their Instagram. So that is the other magic of going to live shows. So again, let me know if you have heard industry news that is coming out. You know, it's starting to bubble around now because the show's next week. And if you haven't, what would you like to hear? Like I said, I would love to hear Blackmagic jump on the NDI bandwagon. As far as I know, it's just not going to happen. They've had 10 years to do it because NDI has been around for 10 years. And they have instead gone with SMPTE 2110, which is another IP network format, but it is much higher bandwidth and requires a whole new backbone for you to be able to like network things together. And take a little break here. Where's everyone watching from? If you haven't already chimed in, let me know where you're watching from. We have Ben Jeans Williams saying hello from London. Good day to you. And we have the McGee Academy of Arts and Sciences back again. If you haven't seen them, we actually had them on last week's show where we were doing live interviews using the YOLOBox Ultra. So we had them on. Let's see, who else do we got? We got Kirk Riley. Good to see you here, Kirk, in Dallas, Texas. Eric, who I mentioned before, is saying hello from the Netherlands. And Mako Media is saying hello from India. Mike Sabatini is saying hello from LaSalle in Illinois. Let's see, anyone else? And Ben, hey, thank you for the questions. Boink. Have you had a chance to play with OMT yet? Yes, that is another really, it's not a big announcement. I mean, it's kind of like been brewing and it's starting to bubble up. It's starting to boil. It's been going on for some time. If you haven't heard, while I am all in on NDI, NDI was invented by NewTek. NewTek was purchased by VizRT, depending on how you like to say it. It's owned by a company, and they control it, and they develop it, and they haven't broken it out into its own organization yet. It's not open source. It's not anything else. It's theirs. And other companies have adopted it. You know, you can adopt it, but you also have to pay licensing fees. And they've just recently updated, like, where do the license fees kick in? Like, if you're just toying around with it, you can do it for free. But if you start to put it into certain products, if it's a hardware-based product, then you got to pay a license fee. If it's a certain software product based on so many downloads, it's this big thing. The way around that would be, where did I have that? The way around that would be, I like that. The problem is I lined up all of these cool things before the show, but then the thing is finding them all. Is, side by side, Open Media Transport. This is an free, flexible, open source protocol for video over a local area network. In essence, open source NDI or SRT, but more likely NDI, because OMT, like NDI, is compressed. SMPTE 2110 is more about keeping broadcast quality all the way through, so the bandwidth is much higher, the data rates are massively higher and everything like that. But you've got, in essence, a higher quality stream. NDI is you can be HX3 compressed. You can have a 30 megabit stream, so you can use existing network topology, and you don't have to redo everything just to get 5 cameras connected. Whereas SMPTE 2110, yeah, you're not going to get 5 cameras at SMPTE 2110 on a 1 gigabit network. But this is license free, and as such, certain companies have already started to incorporate it. So if you are a vMix user, wait, I have this tab. Man, I really wish I had a bigger screen so I could see these tabs. vMix, this is the vMix manual, so to speak. So vMix, as of the latest update, includes OMT. So if you can create OMT, you can bring in OMT, which is like NDI. So it's part of, you can see down the bottom, it's NDI, and it used to be NDI desktop capture. It's now NDI OMT desktop capture. They could eventually, I guess they'll just say IP video, like most of the other solutions. vMix has it now built in. You can start playing around with it. You can take video, you can export it as OMT into other things. You can bring in OMT video. So it's starting to be implemented in different tools. And also Central Control has implemented OMT. And if you're going to IBC, you can see Joe from Central Control at the vMix booth. That's why I kind of paired them together. So vMix and Central Control. That's what I did there. See what I did there? You can also see there's like LinkedIn is a great place to get some industry news, testing open media transport on AWS. So there is growing, that it's starting to bubble along, it's starting to really boil and come out there and be integrated into products. Will Blackmagic jump on OMT? Probably not. But that doesn't stop any other hardware manufacturer from also doing OMT. And I believe in the last Bird Dog show, someone asked whether the Bird Dog products were going to go also carry OMT. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. I mean, that's the whole magic of going to IBC in Amsterdam, because that's where things are announced. Big broadcast, live streaming, live production, multicam switching. That's where these things happen. IBC, NAB, and a couple other shows around the world. So if you are curious, we got here, I like switchers that need no PC with operating system. Yes, that is very cool. Switchers that you can do everything on, like the Osee that I reviewed. The very nice thing is the menu is built in. Now, I will say that like the Blackmagic switchers, the Osee switcher has companion software, and there are things you can do only in the companion software. Like Osee took it so that if you're trying to set up SRTs or set up RTMPs, it's way easier, but they've now set it, now you can only do that through the software. So you still kind of need, for certain features, you need to have the PC. And for some things, it's way easier with a PC as opposed to like a tiny little menu in the on your multi-view screen. It's easier to do using companion software. And also, if you have somebody else doing it on a laptop, then you can keep doing a show. So you can work on these things while you're going. Wolfgang says, greetings from Germany. What you've heard, maybe we'll see each other at IBC. Maybe. I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to go. Free NDI license or cut cost to half? That's a really good idea. Now that there's competition, maybe NDI licensing will be revised. That's a really good point. Thank you for throwing in the comments. And again, this is a discussion. Throw your comments, throw your thoughts into the comments so we can bring them into the show. There are certain products that roll the NDI licensing into the cost of the product already. Obviously, BirdDog has never charged extra to activate NDI on any of their cameras or devices. So it's built into the cost of the product. Whereas if you buy an OBSBot Tail Air, it doesn't. And if you want to activate NDI, you then have to pay a $99 license. If you get a YOLOBox Pro or an Ultra and you want to use NDI, you have to pay $100 to activate NDI on that device. If you buy a Mevo Start, NDI just works. They've rolled it into the cost. It's not a big enough usage, or it's not a big enough item cost, because also part of the cost of the NDI license is the cost of the item. And if your camera only costs $399, at least it was before tariffs, Trump tariffs, then the cost of the NDI license is lower. Whereas if your item costs $1,000, $1,200, $2,000, then the cost of the NDI license costs more. As far as I know, I'm not a licensing expert. Good question. Eric S. says, OMT only for local use. OMT is new, and I have not as yet heard whether there is like NDI Bridge or BirdDog Cloud, or there's a couple other solutions as well where you can take NDI from one place and send it out across the internet and use it in another place, 2 different cities, for instance. I have not heard that about OMT yet. Not saying it's not being developed, not saying it's actually baked in yet and just not been publicized and hey, now we're using this. I have not heard that about OMT, but we all know the fact that the local area network you will need to like bring things out. Almost always you need to like break things out and send them somewhere else. That said, there are other products like PTZ Optics has their Hive protocol, which is going to be baked into certain PTZ Optics cameras. And those will automatically connect to your Hive cloud account. So you can send just a camera to another city. And as soon as they plug it into the internet connection, let's just say it's not locked down in a corporate office and it's actually given service. And you can send just a camera. And then after a couple of seconds, it's going to pop up as available in your cloud, wherever you are. And you're going to be able to control the camera, zoom, tilt, pan, change settings, change the color, and utilize that camera's feed wherever you are. And that is not NDI based, but it's another way of doing the same thing. Maybe Hive could connect to OMT. That could potentially be an announcement we hear at IBC. And that could be kind of interesting too, because that's going to open some doors in terms of Hive being a point-to-point protocol, but NDI being a local area network-based protocol. Also like OMT, because the concept of that is I have my YOLOBox and I'm taking the program and I'm encoding the program as NDI and I'm plugging my Ethernet in. Now, any other device on the local area network that wants to see the program can load up Studio Monitor and call up the output of my YOLOBox Pro, or I should say Ultra, because the Ultra has the NDI out. Call up that NDI and then they can all see it. So now I can have 5 people watching it without having to run 5 cables, even over Wi-Fi. That's the magic of NDI, is that multiple devices can do multiple things. You can have one camera going into 3 different switchers with one cable. Or in the case of like a Mevo Start, wireless. Or in the case of a BirdDog X1, wireless. You can do wireless NDI video. Andrea says, hello from Greece. Hello to you as well. Let's see. Yes, Eric says he is going to IBC also. It'd be great to see you there if I can get there. Hi from LaSalle, Illinois. Okay. So one of the other things I had seen, like having Rode, let me do side by side, having Rode add NDI to their switcher, I think, is fantastic. It bodes well for NDI. I think it's the first time Rode has really gotten into local area network broadcast protocols. You know, SRT out, SRT in, that is a bit harder to do than just saying NDI and then a menu pops up and says, here's the 5 things I found. Which one do you want? It's such a fantastic little protocol. And maybe Rode is also going to say OMT. It's NDI and OMT. You never know. That'd be a pretty fast announcement after them just doing this. Another thing that I really liked that Rode just did was they added the ability to have a call in directly to Call Me, redefines remote content production. So you can call into the switcher, which is pretty amazing, I think. And of course, Dante, which also has a video component now. There's Dante AV. Dante is the other IP networking protocol. And look at this, Rode is bringing Dante to next generation products. So Dante is a big protocol that has very heavy use in broadcast and live production. It is very reliable. It does things NDI does not do that would be really cool. Like Dante allows you to have a primary and secondary network at the same time. So if all of a sudden an Ethernet cable gets cut and you have a second, Ethernet cable running a different route, it'll automatically move over and you'll never have a break in service. NDI doesn't have that. If you ran 2 cables trying to communicate between 2 different places over NDI, that would be hard. It's not a thing yet. Whereas with Dante, that is a thing. That helps it to be more reliable for live production. But Dante's video, the AV part of Dante, has not seen as widespread adoption as NDI yet. We'll see. You never know. Maybe Rode's going to say, since Rode is now adding Dante to next generation products, maybe Rode is also, since they already support NDI, networked IP video, maybe that means that Dante AV is the next announcement from Rode. That could be very interesting because there's not a lot of hardware video switchers that have announced support for Dante AV yet. We'll see. Move my cursor over here. AI switcher, auto switching, and live for YOLO box. That's an interesting one. An AI switcher, auto switching video. That could be kind of interesting. And it would kind of make sense because AI could watch people talking. When they started talking, you wouldn't have to listen for the audio. You could just watch the video, and whoever's doing the motions and talking, well, that's the camera I should switch to. And if 2 people are talking, then switch to a view that has both of those people in it. That could be pretty good in terms of AI switching. Right now, with the YOLO box, it is all based on routing microphones in and then attaching a camera to an audio source so that when audio comes in here, then switch to this camera. When audio comes in B, switch to B. When audio comes in A and B, switch to a wide camera that covers both. So it's audio level based switching, not really AI. I mean, it's still automatic and there's some programming behind it, but AI is going to be making all the choices if you hand that over. And closed captioning live for YOLO box. That's going to be kind of tricky because it has to do with the upload of the closed captioned data. There was a protocol in standard definition days and a little bit in HDMI for other data. For analog video, it was in the overscan. For digital video, it's in additional packets. That is your closed captioning. So it would be kind of cool to be able to have that data, but at the same time, so many platforms offer it. YouTube, you can turn on captioning, live captioning. It's going to be a bit behind. They're probably using AI to do it. In Vimeo, you can turn on live captioning. Well, the author can turn on captioning and add it to their video if they so choose. If you're on Facebook, you can turn on captioning on live videos and pre-recorded videos. It's there. People have gotten used to expecting the choice to be able to read the video as opposed to turn up the audio. So in certain situations where you can't turn up the audio, you can still watch a video and read the text on the screen to understand what's being said. To put it into the YOLO box, you have to overcome the transmission hurdle. And is that transmission hurdle still needed if the content delivery networks have live captioning built in? I don't know. Does YOLO Cast, their own service, have closed captioning built in? I don't think it does. So that is an interesting thought, but thank you very much for chiming in on that. I was continuing along here. Open Media Transport in vMix. That's very cool. If you don't use vMix, will Open Media Transport appear in OBS? I think that is, if it's not already out, it may be due soon. And then I was looking, Amsterdam. Another thing that I was looking for at BirdDog, I have seen it, but I couldn't track it down before the show. They have the wireless cameras. If you saw my video on the X1, the X1 is their first of the new series of cameras that I reviewed. And it has Wi-Fi. It has this antenna sticking out the back. So very cool. You now have a big PTZ with a long 20x optical lens that you can, control wirelessly. HX3. Oh, this is great. But when you start adding multiple of these cameras, you will find that most consumer Wi-Fi does not hold up. And I can tell you in my office, I have the fairly expensive Eero 6 Pro. The Eero 6 Pro, which has got 3 bands of Wi-Fi. It's supposed to be able to pass a gigabit or more than a gigabit because it actually has a 2.5 gigabit input port. So it's supposed to be able to handle a gigabit on the LAN and 700 megabits on the Wi-Fi at the same time. So this should be a very, very powerful wireless router. Try to push some NDI through it, and it really doesn't do a good job. However, if I replace that with my other router, which I've talked about before, this is my Asus ROG. No sponsorship. I went out and bought this because it has a 2.5 gigabit WAN port, and it has a 2.5 gigabit LAN port because I wanted to get all the data both on the LAN and wirelessly. So I purchased this for that reason. But this also has, is killer in terms of doing NDI locally. I can have multiple wireless NDI devices connected to this, and it's all smooth. Same devices connected to the Eero, stutters all over the place. Trying to connect to them with my phone and control the director via, at the same time as these NDI things, and it's just not able to do it reliably. Swap out the router, it all works. So it's clearly the hardware is making the difference there, and not all Wi-Fi is the same. Well, BirdDog has come out with their own NDI receiver. And I went searching for it and I couldn't find it. I was on the BirdDog page over here on B&H. No connection to B&H. They tend to have a lot of BirdDog stuff. And I went looking for, I don't know, is it a signal converter accessory? Oh my goodness. Yes, I'm human. This is coming up a lot these days. Are you human? Are you human? Because you know what? AI would not be able to click that little X. Video wall, software, pro streaming, live streaming, brackets, Ethernet. Yeah, I'm probably not going to be able to find it, but BirdDog now has released an Ethernet to Wi-Fi access point that will reliably handle 4 NDI streams. So that's been one of the big asks, is that if I'm going to be putting my BirdDog cameras over the wireless internet and consumer Wi-Fi devices, it's a crapshoot. You really don't know if this one's going to work, if that one's going to work, how well it's going to work, how many, don't know. We need something that we can sit there and say, okay, this is made for this purpose. This is reliable. This is what it says it's going to do. And BirdDog says, here, we make you one for 4 cameras. Okay, I'm good. This is going to do 4 cameras. You say it's going to do 4 cameras? Okay, it says 4, not 5. It says 4. So don't try to put 5 in it. Don't try to put 8 into it. Whereas my ROG, my router from Asus, has no rating. You know, you just keep connecting cameras until you overload it, I guess. So it's where I always talk about test, test, test. You always have to test your products. So that is something that I was hoping to look up and be able to show you, and is definitely going to be at the show at IBC. But it's something that, you know, you get to experience firsthand when you go to the show. So if you are, let me know what industry news you have heard. So if you've heard an announcement that I haven't heard yet, feel free to throw it in the comments. And also let me know what would you like to have announced at IBC, because there's still solutions that I think those people getting into live streaming would love to have. One of the nice things is, I think a lot of people have been begging BirdDog for a like a Mevo Start Pro. That's been one of the things I think a lot of people have been asking for years, actually. And all we wanted is like a little bit of zoom and update the Wi-Fi and like optical zoom, because you can sensor crop on the Mevo Start, but it's not an optical zoom. And also to be able to like have threads on the front, so you can clip on a 2x adapter or a wide angle adapter. You know, so if you're using these things for baseball, I've got a super wide, and then I've got my, you know, I can have them sitting side by side. One's just got a wide angle lens on it. Now I've got my wide, and then I can cut to my close up. Yay, that would be great. So I think one of the neat things is Mach-E Ultra, that BirdDog has come out with this Mach-E Live. I think they saw an opening in the market. There's a bunch of like point cameras that you can put them somewhere and you can kind of zoom in or crop. And then there's long zoom PTZ cameras, but there wasn't something in the middle. And this is already out. This is already available, the Mach-E Live. And I've asked them to get me one that I could do, you know, reviews and show it off here. I think this is going to be a great product for those people. It's got a small, what is it? Let me click on it. It is a 3x optical. So 3x optical and a 10x digital zoom, HDMI and USB-C outputs, and they just updated it so you can do USB-C audio in from a USB-C audio transmitter. So this little thing, I think it's about this big. Again, I don't have one to show. I haven't been able to get my hands on one. And it's got the battery built in. It's got the Wi-Fi built in. It's got the optical zoom built in. They still didn't do a threaded front. That's like, I don't know what they have. This thing, it's not a PTZ camera, so you don't have to worry about balance. But putting a little, you know, 0.7 on here or putting a little 2x on here, you can have 2 of them sitting side by side, one with a super wide and one with a, you know, really telephoto, and you still have the optical zoom to play with each. I think that would be great, but I don't know. Manufacturers seem to be remiss, and they don't want to let you attach lenses to these things. But that, I think, is going, this camera, I think, fits that market in between the Mevo Start and the Mevo Core, which is a box camera that you can put on a micro four thirds lens. That box starts at $1,000, and then the lens is going to cost a couple $100 more. So that's going to cost you $1,200 to $2,000, depending upon the quality of the lens you put on the front of it. And there's only 4 zoom lenses, and those 4 zoom lenses only cover 2 ranges because they're Olympus and Panasonic duplicates of each other. So there's not a whole lot of flexibility in terms of what you can do in terms of micro four thirds and zooming. So having a camera like this gives you that middle ground, you know, and at $495, that actually is like middle ground in terms of price too. So $500 is half of $1,000, and it's a little bit more than the Mevo Start. Actually, let's go check out and see what the Mevo Start costs at B&H. Let's duplicate this page, and we'll come over here and we'll say MEVOSTART to see how close it is in the middle. $449. So not much more than the Mevo Start right now. So this is $450. It includes NDI, and the Mach-E Live is $500, so it's $50 more, and it includes NDI, and it has an HDMI output, and it has an optical zoom. So honestly, I'd go with this one. And again, it's not because I have a show with Bird Dog. I'm just saying in terms of features and cost, $50 more to have an optical zoom, $50 more to, you know, also have the HDMI output. Let's see if we can see it on here. Yeah, there's a HDMI output on the bottom there. Can we zoom in? Maybe nope, we can't zoom in. The full HDMI output right there. And I think that is the cost performance winner in that $500 area for that. You can also get a OBSBot Tail Air. Let's go see what the OBSBot Tail Air costs. And again, I'm not promoting B&H. I'm just using one reseller, so we have an even cost across all three. BSBO.TA Tail Air. Did I spell it wrong? Again, $500. Now, this one has 3x, but it's a 3x crop. It does not actually optically zoom. What this one does do, though, is this one really does pan and tilt. So if you need to follow somebody at the front of an auditorium, you can put this thing right in front of the stage, and as they move around, this thing is literally going to pan around and follow them. That is really cool. And that is, you know, for $500 for a PTZ camera, that is very, very nice. Then you can get, where did it go? You can get the physical PTZ remote as well to like put in presets and activate tracking and turn off tracking and things like that. So the physical remote is nice too. So that is great functionality. But you know, then you're at $649 and you're so close to like an actual PTZ camera at $999, where you get like a real, you know, 10x, 12x, 20x optical zoom at $999. $649, you're pretty close. You know, you have to see, you know, do you need the battery capability? Do you need the, you know, the handheld remote to come with it? If you do, then this is a thing. If you would rather make use of an optical zoom, then you're going to need to make a jump. So that is some interesting cost comparisons at the $500 level. Go away. No, go away. And this one, why are you keep giving me these things? Go away. Go away. What do I need to click to make that go away? And these three different cameras at around the $500 level. I think these are really cool. Let's see if we got any more comments come in. 8 years ago, Blackmagic Design already had a box camera. Blackmagic had a box camera? Did Blackmagic? I know Blackmagic, because Blackmagic doesn't make lenses. So Blackmagic had a box. Yeah, they had the micro camera, but it's not networkable. But it did have HDMI, it did have SDI, it did have all kinds of controls. So yeah, 8 years ago, they had that box camera, and it was micro four thirds. And as the creator of the micro four thirds group on Facebook, where you put big broadcast lenses on micro four thirds cameras, one thing I wish they had done with their studio cameras is put a B4 mount. Maybe that's what they're going to announce. No. It's been 10 years and they haven't done it. So I don't think Blackmagic is finally going to say, you know, putting a B4 mount on a studio camera, that's a good idea. And we're going to create a small studio body with a B4 mount that you can put a long, nice zoom lens and control it remotely and change the iris and zoom and how fast it zooms. They haven't done it thus far. Even, I actually have saved, they have an image when they first came out with their little micro studio camera. They put a B4 lens on there and says, and they have, you know, this little box converter between what Blackmagic is communicating, converted into the voltages, everything that the box lens or that the B4 lens needed. That box never came out. So Blackmagic itself never made that functionality that they put on their website happen. And that's why I created this group so that we could figure it out. Now, Scarhoy makes one. A couple of different companies make them separately, but that never came out. And another comment comes in. Support for old products on new operating systems would be nice. Well, the thing, it's a catch-22 because if a company has an old product that's already been sold, there's not any additional revenue to pay for the engineering that it would take to make it work on new software. And the people who make computers and the new things want you to buy a new product. So they don't have any interest in making the old stuff work either. So that's sort of a catch-22, unfortunately. So yeah, if you're interested in this, the B4 on M43 group is my group on Facebook. You can go there and check that out. And then also, if you are interested in live switching, and again, I have to get rid of all this stuff. Go away. I have this AirMix group, Teradek AirMix group, unofficial. Just look for the yellow logo. Because Teradek, the broadcast company, makes lots of great products. They started dabbling into software with this multi-camera live switching iPad-based solution. You can use Android or iOS cameras. So if you have, and the thing is, this was discontinued years ago, like maybe in the middle of COVID, but it, you know, so as of 2020, whatever hardware was top of the line in 2020, which is now old used hardware, is the hardware that this runs on. So you can find somebody's older phone, somebody's older tablet, and run this software very well. I haven't tried running it on the latest hardware with USB-C and see if it understands, you know, UVC cameras. But hey, you know, anyone is welcome to join the group and throw, let us all know in here, because we're all just telling each other what to do and solving the problems together. And if you are watching me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitch, or Instagram, know that all the content you might be interested in is here at the StreamTek channel on YouTube. And if you're interested in a particular thing, let's just say you're interested in the Osee Duet, you can just use this search tool and type in DUET. And then all the information that comes up on the Duet, all the content I've produced on the Duet comes right up. So you don't have to wade through anything. There's the GoStream Duet with SDI. There's a couple reels. There's a complete overview of the Duet 8. That is 1 hour and 40 some minutes long. It's a combination of 2 live shows, and it goes through everything. It does not, however, cover the 2.0 update, which came out like a week later. So there's a separate video on what the 2.0 update offers and the caveats with regards to like getting 8 inputs means what. So that is handled with a separate video right there. So, but that is where all the information is. A simple search on the topic you're interested in will bring up any video that covers that. You can also read my content here at streamingmedia.com. There's the article. There's a article out on the YOLO Box Extreme, Nice video there. All-in-one production devices, the Magewell Director Mini, and the Blackmagic Design Micro Studio Camera 4K G2 are those articles, the latest articles right there that you can find on streamingmedia.com. And that is where you can find the articles that I've written. If you need to reach out to me directly, go to streamtek.us. Yes, I finally did put a US on that. You can go to streamtek.us, and there's a little contact us at the top if you need consulting, if you need a one-on-one, let's work through this thing, and I'm trying to build this thing, I'm trying to solve for something. You can reach out to me directly. I do consulting, and that's where you can reach out to me directly. So we have covered my thoughts on IBC. I always welcome your thoughts on it as well. Feel free to throw them in the comments. And as always, I'd love to know where everybody is watching from. If you haven't already chimed in, feel free to chime in and let us know where you're watching from. And if you've heard IBC news that I haven't mentioned, feel free to throw that in the comments. And what would you like to have announced at IBC? Me personally, I think these tools are just incredibly capable. And what I think the one thing I would like to find at IBC is robustness, you know, because a lot of these tools, they do what they do, but at the same time, they're at the bleeding edge. It's like, you know, well, Rode added 4 NDI sources. Does it handle if an NDI source is not proper? Because some third-party things might not be NDI certified, and maybe the frames aren't quite right or the headers aren't quite right. What does the Rodecaster do if it's got a bad NDI signal? Does it handle it properly? Does it crash? Things like that. And then let's, you know, like YOLO Live on the Pro. This is a Pro. Yeah, 3 inputs, it's a Pro. They have talked about an upcoming big release for the Pro, adding a lot of features that people have asked for. But one of the features that people have asked for with the Pro is when it came out, it was both 60 hertz and 50 hertz, but the 50 hertz went away. So people have been saying, listen, we'd like to get 50p back in our Pro. That's one of the things I think a lot of people would like to see announced at IBC, if that is going to be YOLO's announcement at IBC. I know YOLO's got a couple cameras that they showed out in their recent live streams. They got a little PTZ camera coming up. They've got a little box camera that looks kind of interesting. So there is a lot of interesting things. This time next week, there's going to be a lot of new buzz. I think Rode kind of got out of the head of the game. Blackmagic will, of course, have their live stream ahead of IBC so that everybody knows what to go look at IBC. And I look forward to you letting us know. But, you know, feel free to put it in the comments what you are looking forward to seeing at IBC. Anyway, my name is Anthony Barocas. I appreciate all of you being here for these live shows every week. Again, for the next couple weeks, I will be in Germany. So we will see what those shows look like. Nothing's built, nothing's there. We're going to see what comes from it. If you're looking for the content, feel free to go to YouTube at StreamTeknology with a K. And there's also a StreamTeknology page on Facebook. So I want to thank you all for being there. And till next time, thanks for watching.